consecutively. We didn't review part 1, which I think people are going to be sad about, but we're skipping part 1. We did review part 2, and now we're reviewing part 3.
Are we going to rewatch part 1?
I don't know.
Saw it a couple years ago.
Bruce Willis, Die Hard with a Vengeance, a.k.a. Die Hard Part 3. Did you know there's a Die Hard 4 that I saw?
I figured there was. We don't have it, though, right?
It's not great, but maybe we'll have to watch it and talk about it.
How do you know? We've never seen it.
Oh, I saw it in theaters.
Oh, well, I haven't seen it.
So here you go. Special edition. 2 discs. There's a special features disc, everybody. Okay, but we're not here to talk about that.
We didn't watch it.
A tense, terrifically funny action dazzler, said Peter Travers of the Rolling Stone. The 3rd installment of the hugely successful Die Hard series reteams Bruce Willis and director John McTiernan in a new action-adventure extravaganza of special effects, unexpected comedy, and non-stop thrills. 1995. This movie came out on May 19th, 1995.
Ooh, right before my birthday.
You would have been almost 10 years old, am I right?
Yeah.
2 hour and 8 minute runtime, just like we mentioned earlier, directed by John McTiernan, which I'm guessing he directed. The box set's not here. I'm guessing he directed the first one.
I wasn't prepared.
I wasn't prepared
for that.
So anyway, this movie was panned by critics, but
what's panned mean?
They didn't like it.
Okay.
Let's talk about that before we give our rating really quick. Rotten Tomatoes was a 58% critic rating, considering that the other movie, which I was only 3 out of 5 on, they were 70% on that.
The second one.
That movie came out 5 years earlier. IMDb was 7.6 out of 10, and Google users were 4.6 out of 10, with 147 reviewers reporting. So they did not like the film, but per Wikipedia, this film has developed a huge cult following and is considered one of the best action films of the 1990s. It was the highest grossing box office film for 1995, grossing $336 million on a budget of $90 million to make it. Now, with that being said, I'm drawing a blank here. So
he lost his
I lost my train of thought. This movie I liked it better than part 2. So it had multiple rewrites. It was written numerous times with many different scripts. Bruce Willis would reject them, saying that they were all too similar. Originally, they had written a script that would later go on to be Speed Part 2.
Ooh.
After he rejected the script.
I have a question. Yeah. Is Sandra Bullock in Speed Part 2?
I believe so. America's Sweetheart, Sandra Bullock, and Keanu Reeves.
Then I'm interested in seeing it.
I only have part 1 on video cassette, but we're not talking about that right now. There was another script. There was a movie that was this. So this particular film that we ended up seeing here, it was originally titled Simon Says, which if you watch the movie, that makes sense. It was written for Brandon Lee, the son of famed Bruce Lee. However, he would be killed during the filming of the movie The Crow.
No.
So then the movie bounced to Warner Brothers. They rewrote the script to be the next Lethal Weapon movie with, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. But then that didn't happen. So then it ends up going to 20th Century Fox, where they rewrote it to be Die Hard with a Vengeance. However, interestingly enough, this movie came out a year after Pulp Fiction, where, if you haven't seen Pulp Fiction, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie where Samuel L. Jackson stars alongside John Travolta.
I like Samuel L.
The Samuel L. in this role was originally cast and specifically written for Lawrence Fishburne. And then he wanted too much money, and so he ended up... Oh, and then his agent said that he didn't feel like he was like the leading actor in this movie, so then the director ended up seeing Samuel L. Jackson's performance in Pulp Fiction and loved it, so then they ended up bringing him on board.
Yeah, he's great.
I can see why this movie is considered one of the best action films of the 90s, because it's a good movie. It's enjoyable.
Oh, it's very enjoyable.
It to me, was the superior film to Part 2, obviously. It is considered superior to the sequel by everybody that I read about online. And I am going to dive right into my review. I am 4 out of 5 on this movie.
I'm 4.5 out of 5. And the only reason I'm not 5 out of 5 is because there's too much cursing in it. Yeah. And it also went on like just a teensy bit too long.
It did start
at the
to drag.
end. It was kind of like, all right, time to wrap it up. I don't know if I was just like tired and ready to go to bed, but no, I think it was a little drawn out.
There was an alternate ending that they were going to go with where the John McClane character is set up as the bad guy by the Simon Says guy, and they make him take the fall for it, and he loses his police career and is fired, and his wife Holly leaves him, and then he goes and he finds the
I don't like that.
Hans Gruber's brother and takes his vengeance upon him. And then they felt like maybe that wouldn't be a good place for him to be represented. So then they ended up just ending that. They did. But you know what? To me, that was fine. So Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
The vengeance still makes sense because the bad guy is the brother of the guy that he killed in part 1. So Die Hard
Alan
with
Rickman
a vengeance.
Character. His brother is played by Jeremy Irons in this film, and we got a screaming kid from outside of the room. So we'll wrap it up here.
Mm-hmm. I have so much more to say.
Okay, then let's say what. Okay, we're only.
I don't even know what I was gonna say, but I know I had more.
Go ahead, say it.
I just feel like the Samuel L. I just feel like he really makes the movie really good, and I don't know if this is okay to talk about, but I kind of liked how
there was
this movie showed like some racial.
It can be
issues.
Anybody.
It showed that the Samuel L. guy, he really hated white people. And I feel like that's something that's not really discussed in a lot of movies. Like, there's a lot of movies about, oppression going the other way, but there's not really a lot of movies about how some people just hate whitey,
Hate comes in all shapes and sizes.
And I feel like by like the middle toward and then the end of the movie, the middle-ish to the end of the movie, they were friends. They were friends, and not to give away too much,
overcome their racial biases.
Yeah, so I feel like the Samuel
Not that the Bruce Willis character had any racial bias.
No, he didn't. He didn't
at all.
care. He didn't care.
He was friends with Carl Winslow.
Yeah, and there's a really good part in the movie where he says basically that the bad guy in the movie who's like blowing up stuff left and right and doesn't care about killing people, the Bruce Willis character says he doesn't care. The bad guy doesn't care about skin color. He doesn't care about race,
He's just a bad person.
I think that was a good moment because it was like,
lesson.
There's
Can't
more
we all just get along?
There's more to people's character than the color of your skin. That's not what someone's character is. So it's like Martin Luther King Jr. said, I'm looking for the day when someone's judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. So
there was a social commentary.
There's a good history lesson.
It was a deeper movie than it let on, folks.
It was deep. It was good. And he's still married. So, you know what? Good for him. He might be estranged, but he's
character? He was still hanging on.
Still technically married and trying to work it out.
There you go.
But lots of explosions, lots of
robberies,
gunfire.
Lots of shootings, lots of murder and mayhem.
Yeah. No romance at all.
There was one romantic scene at the very end between Jeremy Irons and that East German assassin.
She was horrible.
She was terrible.
And anyways, so like I said, no romance, but it kept me entertained the whole entire time. So, but if you're looking for a movie without any cursing, this ain't it.
This movie did not follow the plot line of the prior two. It was not set at Christmas time.
Stupid.
And you find him back in New York City. As he was originally mentioned in part 1, he was an NYPD officer. Then you see him back in his native New York.
I wish they would have kept the continuity to have it still at Christmas time, because that was kind of the theme that they started.
That genre was played out.
It was played out. All of it's played out. All the bombs and the gunfire, the battling, the F words.
It's considered one of the best movies of the 90s for action.
You know what's played out? The F word every other word. That's played out. Can we have an action movie without that? Are there any other words out there? Do we know any other words?
People don't live in a cotton candy house.
I'm just saying, why do we love that word so much? There's other words.
You're opening me up to a lot of criticism in the comment section with your your purity and your piety.
The people love it.
Fair enough.
All right.
Let's wrap it up, folks. Until next time.
All right. Now, next time, part 4.
If I can find a copy, we'll see you then.
He'll find it. Bye.
Bye-bye.